What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live, presented by Bet Online, here on a Monday, March 27th. Only 2 weeks left of this season for your Portland Trail Blazers as they head towards Tankville. They have a chance to tie the Orlando Magic for 5th best odds tonight if they can lose against New Orleans Pelicans. We can discuss that game if you guys want, but we got juicier things to discuss on this episode. We got Shams, as you put it in the tweet, Eric, stirring the pot again. And we're going to talk about it. How's your day going?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
It's going good. Met with Krish. Working on some things for this offseason. Hopefully you guys are excited for daily uploads this offseason. Going to have some good video ideas and whatnot, so was working on those. And now I'm ready to have some fun. At least with the first part of the show, because I'm going to be a little bit annoyed talking about the stuff that Shams has been doing. But we can have fun with picks against the spread, Eric, because there's 8 games today, and you are first. I could technically catch you if you went, 0-9, including your double down. I could go 9-0.
If I pulled the Jackson the last 2 streams?
Yeah, Jackson, the last 2 streams. 0-11. The fall from grace has been rough for him. 0-11. He's down in 5th. He's below Zach. Connor, who was leading this thing like a month and a half ago, is down in 6th. So these standings have gotten completely jumbled up. Aeromancer has a chance to get out of the last. He has a chance to pass Trevin right now. You're the only person that's picked more than half of games right. Chat is above 500, but that's because their double down record, they've actually picked less than half their games right. Double downs for Connor have been rough. I think he's lost like 5, 6, 7 in a row. I have no idea. He's in a major slump. And last Thursday, what was our collective record? Do you have that? Let me pull up the sheet here. Picks against the spread.
It was bad.
It was bad. 13-27 collective record. Zach, congrats. You were the only person above 500. Collectively, we are now 102 games below 500, so we all suck. We were 1-7 on double downs, making us 6 games below 500 in terms of our collective double down record. Correct pick percentage as a whole, we are 47.8%. Not good. But you know what is good? Bet Online. Because this segment is brought to you by Bet Online. All the spreads featured in this segment are available over on betonline.ag. You can get in on any of this action, as well as opening day action for MLB, Final Four action for the Final Four, and then the Masters is coming up in April. Basically, you can bet on any sport or event that you're intrigued with over on BetOnline with that promo code BELIEVE for a 50% reward bonus, BLEAV. Anyway, Eric, let's jump into things with game number 1. We got Indiana hosting the reeling Dallas Mavericks. Dallas is a 6-point road favorite.
All right. Dallas is without Maxi Kleva. They were going to be without Luka Doncic, but he had his 16th technical rescinded today and is available to play. The Pacers are without Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, and Chris Duarte.
There's your chat poll chat. Hopefully we have all our mods in here.
We'll
talk the Shams thing afterwards.
I did not get picks from anyone.
For those of you who don't normally tune into our second channel, or maybe just found this channel, we will talk about the Shams thing after we pick all 8 games. What's up, Boom?
I'm going to take the Mavericks. So is Zach and Trevin. I did see Connor in here. Don't know about Aeromancer or Jackson.
I'm taking the Pacers.
Okay. Aeromancer did put an emoji on my reminder that we had 8 games about half an hour ago. So
he's been the only mod that's actually been here consistently all year long.
Connor's taking the Pacers. Well, he always gives me his picks if he can't too. So.
Yeah.
I will message him.
And we got no Jackson. Zach, actually, yes, you are. No, you're not. What was I talking about? I was ready to just believe you, but then I remembered we have to call you on a bunch of streams. Chat, it looks like, is Mavericks.
Speaking of calling.
Zach gets lost in the sauce, says Bonnie. Arcade says, if the Mavs lose this, it'd be hilarious. Absolutely. They've lost back-to-back games against the Charlotte Hornets of all teams. Which the Blazers can't catch, okay? I looked at it. They're like 8 games back with like 7 left. I think it's mathematically impossible at this point. Anyway.
Hello? Remember last time?
Yeah.
Maybe he's just upset that he hasn't picked a single game
He's
right.
0-11, yeah.
Call has been forwarded to an automated.
Alright.
Well, I have a couple mods to be pissed off at today. Yay. I guess we'll move on. Game number 2 is Detroit hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee is a 13-point road favorite.
Alright, they're a 13-point favorite even though they're without Giannis Antetokounmpo, Drew Holiday, and Myers Leonard. And the Pistons are without Cade Cunningham, Bojan Bogdanovic, Alec Burks, Isaiah Stewart, and Hamidou Diallo.
I'm going to take the Pistons.
Me too. Connor is Pistons. Zach and Trevin are Pistons as well.
I mean, that's everyone we have here. So chat is Bucks. And I guess... yeah, I guess we'll just keep moving on and then we'll figure out how to handle this crap after the segment. Game number 3, you got the Knicks hosting the Houston Rockets. The Knicks are 13.5-point home favorites.
All right, the Rockets are without Jayshawn Tate. The Knicks are without...
Oh, wait. Aeromancer is here. Cool. Okay, Bucks, and what about for the first game, Aeromancer?
He said Pacers.
Cool. Thank you for showing up. Now, if only we had Jackson, but... yeah. Alright. What was the injuries with this game?
Rockets without Jayshawn Tate. The Knicks are without Jalen Brunson, Derrick Rose, Trevor Keels, and Dwayne Washington Jr. I'm going to take the points in this one and go Rockets. Connor looks like he's doing the same. As is Arrow and Trevin. Zach is going Knicks.
Yeah, I'm going Rockets. Knicks have been struggling. Chat is going Knicks. Chat's going for the favorites today. We'll see if that works out for them. Game number 4, we got the Jazz hosting the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is an 8-point road favorite.
You said Rockets on the last one?
Yeah.
Okay. Suns are without Kevin Durant. DeAndre Ayton is probable. Jazz are without Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, Rudy Gay, and Simone Fontecchio. And questionable is Lauri Markkanen.
Oh, God dang it, dude. So Ayton's back.
Yeah, he's supposed to make his return tonight. I'm going to go Suns. So is Zach and Connor and Trevin. And Arrow.
I mean, like, is Laurie gonna play? God. Are they like tanking? Like,
I don't know. Clarkson and Sexton have obviously been out for a while. Markkanen's been in and out of the lineup the past couple weeks, but
I'm gonna go Jazz. Screw it. You went Suns, and everyone else went Suns.
yeah. Except for Chat and Jackson.
Suns as well.
They're the favorite.
Yep. Chat's picked 4 favorites. Going against the grain, going against the grain like the past 4 episodes would have been a good thing because we've been terrible collectively, so
right.
I'm okay with this, I guess.
Yeah.
I just hate making a pick depending on if a guy's going to play or not. Mm-hmm. Anyway, game number 5. You got Denver hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. Denver is a 7-point home favorite.
All right. Denver, our first 76ers, they were without Joel Embiid. Apparently he's ducking Nikola Jokic. Harden is listed as probable, but they're saying he's likely to play. For the Nuggets, just Michael Porter Jr. is questionable.
Alrighty. Nuggets for Trevin and Zach.
And Connor.
And Connor. And me. And definitely Chat.
Arrow's going 76ers.
Okay. What are you going with?
I'm going to go 76ers as well. I'm going to take the points.
All right. Chat is going Nuggets. I said it was 85% Nuggets. I said definitely Chat, and it fell to 64 like immediately. All right, there we go. Nuggets. Some people didn't want this as the double down, maybe. Big brain. Anyway, game number 6. We got the Kings versus the Timberwolves. Might be a playoff preview. Who knows? The Kings are 6.5-point home favorites.
Hold on a sec. Had someone leaving the room. All right. Hold on, I missed it.
I already hit send on chat poll. Chat should not vote in it until hearing injuries, but if they want to be
all right, Timberwolves
can.
are without Karl Anthony Towns and Matt Ryan. Also questionable are Anthony Edwards, Jalen Noel, and Taurean Prince. The Kings have no one listed on their injury report.
All right. Did Anthony Edwards play last night?
I don't know. Trevin, Eric, and Zach are going Kings, Connor, Timberwolves. He did play last night, yeah.
I'm going Timberwolves. Kings for Arrow. And Kings for chat.
It's been since 2006, I believe. 17 years.
Yep. All right. Portland hosting the Pelicans. Pelicans are an 11.5-point road favorite.
All right. Pelicans are without Zion Williamson and Jose Alvarado. Blazers are, of course, without Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic, Justice Winslow, Ibu Baji. Doubtful is Trendon Watford after rolling his ankle last night, and probable is Cam Reddish with a lumbar soreness injury.
Blazers for Connor.
I'm going Pelicans. Arrowmancer very confidently. Blazers in all caps.
I'm going Blazers.
Trevin is Pelicans.
Actually, no. No, I
Oh,
can't
man.
go Blazers.
Okay, Zach.
I can't go Blazers. Or at least I'm here consistently. Oh, it was Blazers for Arrowmancer and Pelicans for Connor? What was it?
No, Connor and Arrowmancer are both Blazers.
Okay. And you want Pelicans.
Yep, and so did Trevin.
So did Trevin. Yeah, I'm going Pelicans.
All right, I'll just mark off your Blazers.
You wrote it that fast? I changed it in 3 seconds. Wow. I mean...
Well, I was like
quick,
in the middle of writing.
Yeah, well, you could change the B to a P probably, and the L to a capital E, and then... Or fit an E between the P, the B, and the L, you know?
Why
So it's Pel.
I have like Pelicans on one side and Blazers, and then I write who picked each one underneath.
Yeah. What's Zach going?
Zach is going Pelicans.
All right, and chat's going Pelicans.
Chat has every favorite so far. 7 out of 7.
7 for 7 on favorites. Good job, chat. We'll see if that works out for you. Game number 8. We got the Clippers hosting the Bulls. Final game of the day. The Clippers are 4-point home favorites.
So we got Paul George, Norm Powell, Marcus Morris, Brandon Boston Jr., all out for the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard probable. Out for the Bulls are Lonzo Ball, Javonte Green, and questionable is Alex Caruso. As Zach puts it, another Pat Bev revenge game. After giving the too small sign to LeBron last night.
Yeah, are the Clippers on back-to-back?
I don't believe they played yesterday. I'm going to take the Cloppers.
I'm going to take... Oh, God, I don't even know.
Trevin and Arrowmancer are going with the Clippers. Connor is Bulls with Zach.
I'd feel better about the Bulls if they didn't play last night. And if Marcus Morris was playing. I'm going Clippers. Bulls for Connor. Still nothing from Jackson?
Nope.
How are we sorting this out then? Because it's 8 games and this freaking...
I'm going to try calling one more time.
Yep.
You want Clippers?
Yep.
Call has been forwarded to an automated.
Ooh. That seemed like it got sent to voicemail.
Alright, guys, we have an open mod spot now. If he sent you to voicemail. Zach went Bulls, Pat Bev, revenge game. Okay, Zach is Bulls, and then chat is going with the Bulls. Good job, chat. You picked an underdog. Congratulations. Bulls for chat. Alright, double down time. And then after this, we'll have somebody pick the 410 games, I guess, for Jackson. Or we can flip a coin. That might be the way to do it. I don't want to reward him, though. With luck. Because he has been struggling. He probably wants somebody to break his slump. Pelicans for Zach. Which is what he did last time. What's chat's double down?
It's the Knicks.
Knicks for chat. Which is the same as last time as well. We were 1-7 on double downs and we're picking the same teams.
Well, I mean, they can't lose twice in a row, right?
Yeah, right. Trevin is going Suns.
Wow, Connor, wow.
What'd Connor go with?
Blazers.
Good luck, buddy.
Zach hit his double down, though, he says.
Oh,
He was
Zach.
the one that won.
He was the only one that won. Okay, okay. Trevin, you're a robot. You should be able to figure that out on your own. Alright, I'm gonna figure out my double down, I guess.
Aeromancer is going Houston. This is ridiculously stupid, but I'm taking the Mavericks.
Aeromancer going Houston. I need a Mavericks disaster class then.
Yeah.
I don't feel confident in any of my picks, but that makes me feel confident in my picks. But it also makes it hard to figure out which one to double down on. With that being said, I'll leave it up to you to decide what to do with Jackson.
Let's... Yeah, let's just do like random node regenerator or something. One for the road team, 2 for the home team.
Is that how you want to do it?
Sure.
I could just flip a coin. That'd probably be easier. I got a coin right here. All right. Heads is Indiana. It's tails. He's going Mavericks.
Okay. All right, so tails will be the home team. Just heads will be the...
Heads is home team. Tails is road team.
Yep.
Yep. Heads is Pistons. Tails is Bucks. It went heads, so he's Pistons. And then we have one 440 game we might have to do it for at the end of the stream, and then the next game is 610. Alright. That concludes a scuffed edition of picks against the spread. Thanks, Jackson. Anyway, okay, so I'll let you lead us into the stream topic of today, which is Shams. Stirring the pot some more.
Yeah. Let me get the exact quote. Yeah, so Shams, he didn't tweet this, but he was on one of his shows or whatever and said that he would not be surprised if Damian Lillard has played his last game as a Blazer, and that where is it? I don't have the tweet. Hold on.
I mean, we could paraphrase too.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you had it. Wasn't
Eric,
expecting.
apparently you quote tweeted it. No, I mean, I just figured we'd paraphrase. Like, we don't have to read it off verbatim because it's BS. Like,
all right, here's the exact quote. You have to wonder if he, meaning Dame, is going to play another game for the Portland Trailblazers. I expect there to be a real conversation at this offseason.
So, okay, so the Shams stirring the pot with the Blazers reference, of course, has to do with the GP2 situation in which Shams basically published a hit piece on the Portland Trailblazers.
That never got retracted, never apologized for, no correction of anything.
Yep, and it was about the whole GP2 saga, which has now come to a conclusion where the Warriors are retracting their freaking complaint.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as we said during the time, this situation smelled like BS. And it turns out, apparently, it was BS. And part of the BS was Shams. And how he broke the BS to the public.
And he didn't even
the Golden State Warriors.
He didn't even contact the Blazers for a statement or to comment on it or anything. He just went with what the Warriors said.
Yep. So didn't contact the Blazers, went with this hit piece on the Blazers just by running with what the Warriors were saying, and then didn't retract a single thing. Okay, now we're supposed to believe him with his conjecture that Dame might have played his last game as a Blazer, and you have to wonder if that's the case, basically. Which isn't even a definitive statement, but it'll get the rumors churning, it'll get people talking, it'll get people, like, oh my goodness, he's gone! Shams said so, he's gone! Oh! That's how the reaction is going to be to this. Because a lot of people, are, if you're a fan of another team, I mean, fans fall for this with Henry Abbott. Fans fall for this literally every summer where we go through this with, Dame might finally leave this time. This time might be different than the last 11 years, right? I don't trust Shams. Like, Shams wasn't even saying he has a report. I saw a comment in chat saying, Shams was cooking. He'll have a stream tomorrow elaborating on it. Oh, I can't wait to hear what Shams has to say about this organization that I guarantee you is not feeding him anything now after that GP2 situation, that GP2 debacle, okay? And Portland has been much more closer with Woj, who is Shams' biggest competitor in terms of breaking NBA news. Portland has always given Woj scoops, not Shams. Not Shams. Shams has still maybe been able to get a couple scoops because it just doesn't come from just the Blazers. It could come from agents or whatever, but Shams is not Portland's guy to break news or to leak stuff to or whatever, okay? So I'm going to take everything Shams says with a grain of salt. We've been through this a million times. I don't buy it, okay? People will run with it, though, the people that want Dame to leave. people who want Dame to be traded, and I talked about last post-game show how they're always coming to our post-game streams all aggressive, like, Dame needs to be traded, and if you don't think so, you don't know basketball and you don't know trades. Like, we had a guy like that in our last stream. That's how they go about it. I guarantee you they will use this to fuel that narrative. Even
Absolutely.
Shams says that he thinks he should be traded. Like, they won't even get the quote right from Shams. They will twist it to fit what they perceive. So, basically, what comes of this is the narratives around Dame are just going to be annoying again because of freaking Shams. I don't believe this. What are your thoughts?
Well, before we go praising Woj too, don't forget that when Neil O'Shea was fired, he had a hit piece on Damian Lillard as well.
I'm not praising him, but he has been the guy getting the...
I'm just saying chat, yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of frustrating because Dave had pretty much shut down everything, right? And there was a portion of this season where it was like we didn't really have to deal with it much anymore because anyone who said he was going to ask out was just stupid because he had answered the question definitively hundreds of times. No, I'm not going to ask out. And now here it is, we're about to be in the off season and now we're going to have to deal with all this crap again for another off season. It's just weird, man. I don't understand what his motivations are behind this. After attacking Portland's credibility with that Gary Payton stuff, and now this, it's quite obvious either he is being petty because the Blazers aren't feeding him information like other teams are, or he's being a mouthpiece for another team that wants Portland to blow up and wants Damian Lillard to become available, and he's trying to manifest it into happening. And he has enough power and respect in the, insider industry for the NBA. He's one of the best insiders when it comes to their sport there is. So when he says it, it has a lot more oomph behind it. So I think what he's doing is basically making it so Portland has to answer all these questions yet again. It's just kind of like, but I don't get why he has a vendetta against Portland. But you can say it's for clicks, but it wasn't. I don't think it was from an article. It was just something he said on a podcast or something. So I don't know, man. It's just. But
it's like he didn't even say, like, there are rumblings or sources say or anything. It was literally his own just, like, random guess is exactly how he portrayed that. It's exactly how he portrayed that. And he's not a guy that should be credible with Blazer stuff anyway. It's like, if you say something that's just, like, kind of a random guess, how can you get credit for it, Because I saw a comment that says, Shams is credible. Okay, but he's not saying anything that could even get credit because it's just, like, portrayed as just like, well... You have to wonder if this might happen. It doesn't even mean anything. It's just fueling the narratives, and that's the type of statement that'll get clicks. Mm-hmm. That'll get attention. So that's probably what, I'm not putting any faith into it. I'm going to put faith into literally everything Dame has ever said over Shams' random guess at something that might or might not happen. Right. And if you run with what Shams says over what Dame has said for 11 years... then you're a freaking fool. Okay? You're either a freaking fool or you're so desperate for something to be true that you're trying to trick yourself into going against your own logic.
Or you're a Laker fan and want Damian Lillard.
Or you're a freaking pathetic Laker fan in here saying, this is the first time I've seen Blazer fans want to move on from Dame for the betterment of both sides in their point of view. Bro, Blazer fans don't want to move on from Dame, okay? There's a few people out there that have wanted to move on from him for like 3 years. Mm-hmm. This isn't the first time I've seen a person, but don't say it's like all Blazer fans want to move on from Dame. Don't use a blanket statement. I bet you if I run a poll right now, you'll have more Blazer fans that want to, that don't want to trade him than do. We'll have some Laker fans that say, I'm a Blazer fan, I want to trade him in the poll, but Blazer fans don't want for the most part, don't want to get rid of Dame. Don't want to. And those who do are always way too optimistic about the pathway of getting rid of Dame, what that would bring. They're way too optimistic about that path, right? It's like the same people, Eric, that they say, oh, we need to trade Dame so we can rebuild and stock up with high draft picks. But then it's like, guys, we could have a chance, a 10.5% chance at Wemby. And they're like, oh, well, that's basically zero, so we're not getting him. And it's like, okay, but you want to go the tanking route.
But a 14% if we're the worst team is not much better.
Yeah. So if 10.5% chance at Wemby is no chance, then what is 14%? An extra 3.5% makes all the difference when going that route. So that's the thing, is it's always funny how fans will want to go that route, but then it's like, well, we already are kind of going that route, and we're pretty close to having the best possible odds in the lottery, and it's not good enough. It's just contradictory. So,
well, okay, so let's just run with the idea that they're going to have a conversation. Let's just play this out, right? Okay, so what does that mean? So, like, they're going to sit down and the team's going to be like, well, we might think it's best to move on from you or whatever. And Dame's going to be like, okay, well, if that's how you feel, sure, trade me. Okay. If that's the case, I'm just going to preemptively say this right now. F you, Jody Allen. F you, Joe Cronin. F you, this entire freaking organization, because you have said every step of the way that your whole mindset is the commitment towards winning with Damian Lillard. And if that has been a lie to both the fans and to Dame, like, you guys do not deserve a professional franchise or to be a part of this franchise. So I want all of you bozos gone. If that's the case, if they sit down with Dame and actually tell him this summer that they don't want him to be a part of their future. So,
I mean, but that makes no sense. It's like,
right.
Why did you just sign him to an extension then? Are you trying to become more hated than Neil Olshey was? Because that is literally the only possible way you can do it. Fan attendance would plummet even more next year if that's really the pathway you're going.
I mean, maybe they think Sharp can draw audiences, you know?
I mean, we can sit here and speculate.
But like, honestly, I mean, we've talked about this several times on this show, where their moves don't line up with that commitment to Dame.
I mean, but the thing is their moves don't line up with anything. Their moves are just incompetency. It's not necessarily that it's not a commitment to Dame. They're just bad.
But like, outside the Jeremy Grant trade, you really can't say that they're actually going for it with Dame. So if they actually do tell Dame that they want to move on without him, I don't get. Like, we could have had an extra first. We could have traded that first for Jalen Duren, like the Knicks did, the Pistons with the Knicks, and we could have had like a legit future starting center possibly on our roster already. You know what I mean? Like, like, none of the moves make sense towards rebuilding, and I still don't understand why this is happening, other than they're trying to set it up now so it's like a lesser hit when it comes true or whatever, maybe.
That's not how I see it.
But that's the only way I could justify, like, them coming out with this kind of narrative right now, you know?
Who's them?
Like if Portland is leaning towards doing that this summer, they would start leaking stuff like that now, so that when it happens, it's like been 2 months or whatever. So so that it doesn't burn as bad because people have already been mad about it for 2 months, you know?
I mean, it just sounds completely out there because that Blazer fans aren't going to believe it because they hear it every summer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that your fan base is not just going to buy it because they hear it every summer. And it's like, this isn't how you put it out. Like, it doesn't make business sense. There's not really a justification for it to sign him to this extension and then try and trade him. the moves don't line up with a specific path. I mean, Cronin was after guys to help this team this deadline. He just struck out on them. So then his fallback plan is Matisse Thybulle can play defense. And maybe Cam Reddish can be something. Like, it's not to push Dame out of here. And if they wanted to push Dame out of here, they could have done it without doing, anything, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean...
All right, well, we're going to have to ban somebody for insulting people in chat. Goodbye. All right, go ahead.
So, my problem with the whole, they gave it a shot and the team wasn't good enough, so maybe it's not ever going to work. No, they didn't. They didn't give it a good shot. They absolutely did not. They have not done that with Dame. It's still, since LaMarcus left, his best players have been CJ McCollum, Jeremy Grant, and Anthony Simons. Okay? This is not a situation where they've tried to win with Dame. They have not tried to win. They can say they're trying to win, and they can say they do that, but until they actually make that commitment, guys, stop saying you're banned. If you can type in chat, you're not banned.
Listen. The guy I banned, we have a long history with, and he knows not to do that, and he's been around for 3 years, and he's caused issues before, so it's more of a no tolerance with him. To the guy he was arguing with that's asking, am I banned? Tag me if I'm not banned. If you keep throwing insults towards people in chat like you were, then I will ban you. Okay? So this is kind of your final warning because you've been doing it all stream. Okay, so if it happens again, Tori, calm down with me, Tori. Okay, if you're not going to listen to me, okay, goodbye. Goodbye, you're banned too. You freaking... What's wrong with you? Anyway, okay, you're gone too. Both of you gone. Bye. Anyway, go ahead, Eric.
Now you're banned. So no one's going to see you ask that next time. Anyways, the Blazers have not given Dame legit talent or a legit way to win. So if that becomes the narrative that, we tried, it's just not working out, that's complete BS. They have not fully tried or fully invested into winning with Damian Lillard, and I will never forgive that organization for not doing it either. Now, if Dame wants out or whatever, fine. That's one thing. But, if this is them kind of pushing or making him lean towards that decision, I don't like that at all.
Yep. I mean, I don't buy it. I mean, I don't buy what Shams is selling. It'll be interesting to hear him expand on it, but bro, we shouldn't have bought what he was selling when he was reporting stuff like fact. Mm-hmm. So why are we buying what he's selling when he's reporting stuff as conjecture? If he comes out and tweets, these two teams have agreed to a trade with these pieces, obviously you believe it, because that's, he's not going to tweet that if that's not true. But when it comes to the Golden State report, where it was obviously just him being a Golden State mouthpiece, shouldn't have bought it, because it was BS. So if he comes out with conjecture that's just random, without even being sourced, shouldn't buy that either in regards to this team. So it's just frustrating because we always got to freak out about this stuff. I don't even like putting out the whole idea maybe Jody's dropping seeds and Cronin's dropping seeds because they actually will plan on trading him and want to prepare the fan base so it's not so bad. I don't even like talking about that sort of conspiracy and putting that out there and letting people run with that because I think that's very, very unlikely and doesn't really make much sense to me. So
right, there's two things at play here. One is if you're trying to sell the team, we don't know if Jody is or not, or how long she has to sell it, or whatever. Pissing off the fan base is that deteriorates the value of a team, at least temporarily and stuff. So that doesn't really, um, like, I just don't get it. Like, why he's like a cash cow for this organization? Like, why would they have to trade him, or why would they put themselves in a position to get rid of him? And then the other thing at play is, like, I get the people who say, like, our future is Anthony and Sharp backcourt or whatever. But those guys are both under contract for at least 3 more years. Sharp, we have team control for at least another year after that, if not longer, depending on what kind of extension he signs or whatever.
Well,
so
also, let me say this. The future is that backcourt. Okay, that's the future. Why do people say the future is this backcourt? So we have to have it right now in the present.
Right.
It's the future.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no reason why the 3 of them can't coexist, at least for the next season or 2, you know? Like, and if you want to say, like, oh, you got to trade Dame to get the pieces to make that Dame and Sharp backcourt work, we have the pieces to try it with those 3, and having a top 10 player, and having the ability of Anthony and Sharp's potential still on this team, along with a top, 6, 7 pick or whatever we end up going to be getting in this draft. So, like, we have the ability to add talent. It's not like we have to trade Dame or that future is doomed around those 2. And like you mentioned earlier, what happens if we win the lottery and get Wemby on top of all the talent we have already?
You know? If you had Sharp, like, that's the thing is this organization, in my opinion, has already hit rock bottom. Maybe we're, like, still at rock bottom, whatever, but we've hit rock bottom. Rock bottom was basically falling out of the play-in race. And some of that was by design, but, like, just barely hanging on by a thread and then falling out of it. The Josh Hart trade, the deadline, that was rock bottom. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because at that point, it's like, okay, we're not serious about winning this year. Okay? How do you climb out of the situation you're in? You get a really good asset, and that's what the draft pick is. The Blazers are in a perfect opportunity to get the 5th best odds in a good draft. They would have a 42% chance of being top 4. Over a 10% chance at a dude who's a generational prospect, right? But even if they don't get him, that's a massive trade chip. Mm-hmm. You know, like, to get the team better. So the thing is they can make the team better, still stay out of the tax, so Jody still doesn't have to pay the tax. And if the team is better, they're going to make more money. That's a better financial decision. And you still got young talent on this team. Like, that's the thing. People are going to be excited for Sharp taking the next step next year. People are going to be excited for whatever comes of our lottery pick next year. And then you got Dame back with Grant and, an upgrade somewhere. Like, that's enough to sell the fan base. That's enough to sell the fan base. And it becomes a situation where it's like, you're not going into the season with necessarily huge expectations unless you go out and get a star. But, if you use the lottery pick, or if it somehow becomes Wemby, and if you have Shaedon Sharp and you got Ant, at least you got a future to sell. With Dame still around, because Dame will bring fans, and Dame will bring attention regardless, because he's phenomenal, and people love Dame. So that's the thing is, I would be shocked if that's not the path. Like, why wouldn't it be? Because it makes way too much sense. Mm-hmm. That's the thing is, like, people will sit here and say, it doesn't make sense because it doesn't make them a contender because they're playing 2 timelines. Are we sure this front office really cares about becoming a contender? If they can play 2 timelines and rake in cash because of that and just be like a first-round exit, sure, that sucks for fans, but does that suck for Jody Allen and Burt Cold and Joe Cronin, who's working right under him? Probably not. That might be the best case scenario for them, Don't pay the tax so the team's not too good, but you can at least make the playoffs and have a future. Like, future to sell fans, Shaedon Sharp, the next step, the next evolution. Dame is still Dame. Like, trading Dame devalues the franchise in any potential sale. Mm-hmm. Like, because it basically devalues the franchise in the fans' eyes. Fans won't watch game. If you trade Dame going into next year and just get back future picks, good luck selling seats. Shoot, I expect the stadium to be like 60% full on opening night.
Yeah, Sharp is a big draw right now. But when they.
But
start.
at some point, when that becomes like your
right.
best, that's the thing. He's a big draw right now because he's not our best draw. Our best draw is Dame. When that becomes your best draw, then all of a sudden, like any struggle he has is frustrating.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's not gonna. Like he was super efficient last night. That's not always going to be the case. But anyways, like Sharp is fine, but like that the novelty will wear out after a while if we're not winning games. So if we trade Dame for future picks and stuff like that, which once again are not guaranteed to turn into anything. I just don't see a world where that leads to a better future than just making a few really good moves this summer and having a good team while also having that potential of Sharp still on the roster.
Yep, Devin Ford says, but also the better we do helps us become the next bigger market team, right? Like, I bet if we get Wemby and make the conference finals and make Portland a lot more desirable of a team to go to. I mean, I would just say the better this team is, the more desirable it is. But if you have Wemby, I'm sure guys would like to play with him. And if you still have Dame, I mean, then all of a sudden you're pitching people on playing with Dame and Wemby, not just Dame. So, I mean, the state of the franchise is important if you're trying to pitch guys. But, I mean, we're not a free agent player usually anyway. And it's more so about, like, how can we acquire assets via draft or trade, not free agency. So go ahead.
Well, also if Dame leaves or we trade him this summer, that also means that it would be dumb to keep Jeremy Grant. So what, we're losing him for nothing too?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
that's not how you build teams even for the future.
Yeah, sure, Jody could save money, but guess what? She's gonna lose money because you're not going to be able to get fans and seats. You're not going to have people watching Root Sports or whatever the next TV deal is with this team. So, I wouldn't trip until something obviously becomes legitimately worrying. And, like, you'd know if you'd know. The thing is like, with something like this, fans start to worry because it's like, oh, could this be something that happens? Like, could Dame actually leave? If you're guessing like that, then I would just say default back to what Dame's always said. Default back to what is the most logical move for this front office this offseason. In ownership this offseason. Just default back to that. If it becomes a situation where, Woj and Shams and Chris Haynes are all reporting that Dame has demanded a trade, then that's when you should worry because, oh, well, in that case, all three of those guys are reporting it. Oh, crap, Dame wants out. You know what I mean?
Particularly Haynes.
Yeah, particularly Haynes, right? So, don't trip. Don't trip before then. Like, don't trip before then. I mean, if that's the thing, the rest of the season, Sharp continues to play like this, I mean, that gives Dame hope for next year, hope for the future. The pick ends up higher. That gives Dame hope for next year, a hope for the future. Like, this organization is coming up from rock bottom this offseason. Even if they just use the pick, that's still another really valuable young piece. Okay? And they have 2 first-round picks. They could potentially open up their future first going to the deadline next year. It doesn't even have to be this offseason. Fans will be disappointed if we don't take a huge swing this offseason, and maybe Dame would be too, but we are coming up from rock bottom. Now, how high do we get in the next year or two? That remains to be seen, but we're coming up from the bottom. I don't think this organization is completely falling apart. Anyway.
If this Dame stuff happens, I could very easily see it falling apart, though.
If this Dame stuff happens, what do you mean?
Like if they actually do push Dame out this summer.
I mean, that's shit. And if an asteroid hits Earth, then we're all screwed.
Yeah.
Like,
I have Jackson's picks, by the way.
Yay.
But yeah, I didn't want to interrupt the stream. But here's the thing. Okay, Dame has said time and time again, winning a championship by staying in Portland would mean more to him than than going somewhere else and winning a championship. He's also said he's been about the journey and not caring. I mean, he cares about winning, but he doesn't care if he knows he gave it his all and it didn't happen. And he also has said that the grass isn't always greener. Like, for example, like a team that would acquire Dame is going to have to give up a lot to get him, you would think, right? Otherwise we wouldn't trade him. So they're kind of hamstringing their asset pool or their ability to make moves. So they either have to be a team that's ready to win now, and I'm sure Cronin, the way he is, would give up value in a Dame trade just to get him to an organization he wants to go to. So we're already going to be losing value in a trade because we're only going to trade him to places that he wants to go. Just theoretically, like, I don't understand, because like Dame's said some comments recently about how he wants the organization to make certain moves this summer. Like, he's just using his leverage, knowing that he doesn't have too many chances left, to like give him one last legit shot at this thing and to quit dilly-dallying around the edges, quit making everything harder to do that, and for once just commit to going and doing what it takes to doing that. And since 2019, we have not done anything to prove to him that we're like that. So he's now using his power to do that. I don't think that means he's going to ask out immediately if we don't make a big trade by like July 2nd or something. I just think like that might lead him to believe that the organization isn't really truthful when they're saying they're dedicated to winning with him. And that, to me, if I'm Damian Lillard, that would be hurtful after years of them saying they are. But like I said, pretty much every move they've made since 2019 has been the exact opposite of doing whatever it takes to win. I mean,
but they in 2019, 2020 was more so, you know, O'Shea obviously comes down to Jody gotta pay, but also it's like there is a difference between being dedicated to winning and actually pulling off moves to help you win and executing your dedication to winning. You know, like there's a difference between what you want and what you end up executing. Sometimes, you know, teams don't execute anything because they don't want to, but sometimes teams want to make certain things happen and can't make it happen for whatever reason. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is fans on the outside just view like, oh, well, they haven't, you know, if a team doesn't make good moves for a player, they're not dedicated to surrounding him with with a good roster. Okay, I'm not making the argument that this front office or GM or whatever has been dedicated. I'm just saying that, like, they wanted Jared Vanderbilt. They thought he would really help this team. They didn't get him this past deadline. They wanted Cam Johnson. The ownership situation changing in Phoenix completely changed that equation. All of a sudden, they're trading Cam Johnson for Kevin Durant. Like, we had no chance at that point. But they wanted Cam Johnson. Okay? They wanted guys to potentially help this team. Okay? Now, they didn't get it, so they pivot to guys that aren't
they've wanted
really...
OG for a while. It's just the asking price is too high.
Yeah, so it's like they have had interest in players, but they haven't been able to execute it. And if Cronin is true to his word and has been upfront with Damian Lillard, then Dame knows, okay, well, they're asking an enormous price for OG, and Cronin talked to them about OG. Like, Cronin inquired, was willing to maybe pull it off for the right move, but it would take too much. And we heard that Dame said, no, don't give up all that for OG in regards to the final asking price because it was way too high for him. Right? So I assume it's, you know, probably something similar with the Vanderbilt. I don't really know what the final resolution was there, but that's the thing, is like, if that's all true, it's not about necessarily this organization being completely out on trying to win. It's just they're not executing. So this offseason, if they don't execute, then maybe Dame is frustrated enough with the lack of execution. But still, it's like if you're going into next year with Sharp taking the next step, Ant still has room for improvement. you add another lottery pick, say you don't trade it, okay? Maybe you trade the Knicks pick for the Chicago pick so you have future first at the deadline. I mean, you could pitch it to Dame like, okay, let's see how much of a jump these young guys take, and then we have assets to go all in at the deadline, because maybe it's a situation where Joel Embiid isn't available, Mikal Bridges isn't available, Giannis Antetokounmpo isn't available. Like, all these guys that would help the team aren't available. OG Anunoby, Toronto wants way too much for him. I mean, okay, then what? You know, like, you don't really have many options, but you just gotta be ready for when those options become available. When you have young pieces, back-to-back top 7 picks or whatever, Anthony Simons and future first, you're in play. So that's why I don't buy that Dame would want out. That's why I don't buy that this organization is trying to force Dame out. Because they've had interest in pieces that would have helped Dame win. And they just haven't executed it. So, that's why I'm not tripping about any of this, and I don't think anybody should.
Yeah, I will say though, I mean, if I'm Dame, I'm not in. I mean, he's even said as much that the kicking the can down the road thing at some point it has to pay off, and so.
Yeah, but I think Dame's realistic. You know,
yeah,
it's like
I
if
mean,
you try everything in your power to get Embiid, but he's ungettable. Like.
But I mean, the same thing happened last summer where Dame wanted us to trade the 7th pick, and then by the time of the draft, he was all on board on drafting Sharp, and he was saying, screw those other teams, they're asking for too much, like, let's roll with Sharp. And so that's what the organization wanted to do too, and so that was good that they were in step. But I mean, he's said as much, like he's getting frustrated that all these other teams seem to make it work, and we just keep saying next time we'll try, next time we'll try, next time.
I mean, but it's crazy. Like, we view last offseason as like we struck out. I mean, we got Jeremy Grant, we got a 20-point per game supposedly two-way forward that Dame wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we completely struck out. We went and got him that piece. You know, it's not enough, but I mean, he's a pretty dang good player. And it's not like this team is incredibly far off from being competitive for like a 6 or 7 seed, in my opinion. They've been able to build leads. Like, they've lost a lot of close games. And that's with some unfortunate injury luck at times. That's with some youth at times. That's with Chauncey still being new head coach at times. Like, it's not like they're that far off. You know, it's not like this team is the 5th worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Like, they have to try, you know, or have injuries or have guys sit to be the 5th worst team in the league. So that's the thing is,
but that's where
you obviously want to get past that tier, but
that's where the little things going back to 2019 have all added up to the point where every move is based on, oh, we can't sign like a backup center because that puts us over the tax or whatever. So like, doing stuff like that, I think, is part of the equation here, where that's gotten to the point where it's actually prevented us from having a chance to win earlier this season or whatever, and the last couple seasons when we're right up against the tax line and unwilling to do anything about it, or not unwilling to take contracts for next season at the trade deadline, like that kind of stuff, like the Wiseman thing, right? I mean, going back to that, it's like all those little things add up to where now, once again, if we're making a big trade, we're talking about, you know, Anthony and do we have to give up Sharp and all this stuff, and instead of having the pieces to make a trade with all these picks and assets and stuff to pull it off while adding to the core. So like, I don't know. I see the frustration from Dame that like they have Nurk injured and they won't even sign someone to a 10-day contract, let alone like I know he understands the tax thing and stuff like that, but it's just got to be frustrated that through all these prime years of Dame, like that's been their motivation is just avoiding the tax at all costs. And I don't see another team. I mean, there's young teams that like Memphis that jump up, right? But then when you have to pay everyone, they're going to have to either make the decision to be a tax team or, you know, have to make tough decisions to cut people. But there's not I can't think of a single example of a team that won a championship like ducking the tax every year and not doing what it takes to go all in. And so at some point, that commitment to Dame winning, in my mind, has to include, I mean, not just being stupid and going to the tax for whatever reason, but you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. If it costs you being in the tax to sign a backup center or someone, or to get some bench depth, or to bring in a player in a trade that could be tradable this summer, you have to make that commitment, I believe, to win. And until they do, I feel like Dame's getting kind of frustrated with that.
I mean, yeah. It's just not, I just don't think it's anywhere near as drastic as people love to act like, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Dame's going to drastically, demand a trade
right.
because of, they didn't sign a backup center to a 10-day, yeah, it matters. Got to be willing to pay. But also that's where it's like, are we sure that right move to go into the tax that's like you can't resist has come along and this team has said no? Like at that point, then I would expect Dame to maybe, be done or whatever. But
they won't even do moves that would keep him out of the tax, because it might put him in the tax the next year when everyone just assumes they're going to be a tax team next year. But what if they avoid the tax next year? Too, after, even with re-signing Grant, and maybe they let one of Thibault and Reddish go because they don't want to pay the tax and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, if a good trade doesn't materialize and they re-sign Grant and there's no like splashy move that's realistic or something that the Blazers should do because it costs too much, then they would probably be out of the tax, but that would just maybe be a product of the offseason. It's not somewhere like, oh, you should have went into the tax, because if there's not a splash available, like the way the salaries line up.
But they've already made poor decisions, though.
Yes,
it's already happened.
I'm not arguing that.
But so what I'm saying is, then you can't win that way, because now you say, okay, there wasn't a move last summer, but would there have been a move if we had Wiseman and Hartenstein or something, Like if we had those contracts to trade?
It'd make it easier to make a more mid-tier swing. Like, they haven't executed things well, right? They haven't executed things well at all. I'm not arguing that they've executed things well.
But I'm saying is, like, that's, to me, they're already concerned about the tax next season at the trade deadline. So if they fail to go in the tax this season, yeah, it might be because nothing materialized, but they set themselves up to make it harder for something to materialize, in my opinion. And that is the problem with this organization.
Or yeah. I mean, it also could be the only way we're going into the tax is if we get like a true star. And the only way we're getting a true star is if we trade Anthony Simons and probably Yusuf Nurkic. And that's just how they view it. So it's like, okay, why get Wiseman then? Because if we're not getting a true star, we're not going into the tags. But we're willing to get a true star. If we're getting a true star, we're probably trading Ant and Nurkic, for them. Just because that team would probably want Ant. And then if you're talking about Embiid, if that's the plan, then you're trading out Nurkic too. Or whatever, so... It's not great. It's not, it's not, I'm not sitting here even really trying to defend them. I'm just saying there's no reason to panic about Dame potentially wanting out.
But he's on the record now as saying that he wants them to be more, he wants them to get it done. He doesn't want to hear that excuse that they tried.
Are you panicking about him potentially wanting out right now?
I'm not right now, no. But
okay,
if that scenario that played out where you just said nothing materializes and they end up under the tax and don't sign anyone to the MLE because that puts them over the tax or whatever, I think then Dame is going to be like, what the heck? Like, you told me this summer you would do this, and because I don't think he says that unless he's been promised.
I don't think they're telling him they're doing anything for sure this offseason.
Have you listened to this organization before?
I have, but Cronin has also been on the record saying, like, I keep it real with him, and I don't know. I don't think they're sitting here like, Dame, we're for sure gonna get Joel Embiid this summer.
Well, no, not like a specific player like that, but I mean, every single trade deadline summer, there's big name players that are traded, and Dame's been sitting here saying, why can't that be us? And if they're telling him this summer we have the assets to do it, this is what our trade deadline set up, like Cronin said at his trade deadline, and then Cronin still can't get it done, like then I just
if a big time player gets traded that would have been right for this team, so like a point guard, obviously,
right, yeah.
You won't care
like
about
Kyrie
that, but
Irving getting signed and traded to the Lakers or something.
Like if a big name player gets traded for like a package that we like clearly could have beat in a reasonable way, then yes. But if no big name players move this offseason, then I think it might be a little different. Where it's like, okay, we put ourselves in a position to be a player for anyone, for anything. We're hoping that, you know, Joel Embiid might want out if James Harden leaves and the Sixers implode, or like maybe the Bucks get upset in the playoffs and Giannis wants out. Like, you know, we're in position to make that happen. And then these are our backup plans. Like if the Nets are willing to listen to offers for McHale, we're able to put these assets in play. But then if it comes back like nobody's getting moved because Embiid's staying, Giannis is staying, OG is staying because Toronto is completely unrealistic, McHale is staying because he's turning into a star in Brooklyn, he's basically untouchable, and like nothing gets moved, then I think it's a little different.
I think the difference is Dame is expecting them to go out and make something happen this summer instead of waiting for the opportunity to come. I think he's done waiting for that opportunity.
Yeah, I just don't view it as waiting if the opportunity, like, if nothing materializes because of circumstances out of your control.
Yeah.
I don't really view that as, like, there's really no alternative where it's like, oh, this organization should have done this in that situation.
Yeah, well, so what happens? We run the team back next year and we're not in the playoffs or whatever.
You do try and you know, sign a MLE guy or like make a smart trade. Like that's where you got to work around the bench and, you know, try and find your starting three and hope that internal development with whatever, like you use a lottery pick. I mean, that could be Brandon Miller who could start at the 3 and be great for this team. You know what I mean? Like just by drafting a guy and then Sharp takes a jump, you know, that's where I was talking about earlier where I already think we're hit rock bottom. Even if it's a situation where we don't make a splash and we just use the draft pick, that's going to be a really high draft pick. Sharp's going to be like a much bigger help next year, in my opinion. Like, even if we don't even make a trade or a big free agent signing, this team should hypothetically be a little bit better, at least, going into next season. And as I said, it's not like this team hasn't been competitive in a lot of games. They just can't hold on to a freaking lead. You know, if they held on to half they've lost like 17 double-digit leads in the second half. If they hang on to half of those, we're talking about this team fighting for, you know, the 5th or 6th seed. You know, shoot, maybe home court advantage because they don't shut guys down in that scenario. You know what I'm saying? Like. So that's where I don't think it's as drastic if it's a situation where, like, nobody gets traded and they have to go into next year just, like, using their draft pick. And you've talked about that being, like, a scenario that you like.
Yeah, me personally, I'm fine with the young strategy around Dame. But if Dame's not okay with that, then that's going to be different.
Yeah, I just think the fact that he was willing to, like, oh, no, just use the pick, don't trade it for OG, they want too much. Like, well, I don't know. I think he's more reasonable
but here's the deal. It's been since 2015, right? So if they fail to do anything this summer, that's 8 straight years of being told, hey, don't worry, it didn't work out this time, but trade deadline, we got you. It didn't work out at the trade deadline, but this offseason we got you. Oh no, it didn't work out now, but trade deadline next year, we got you. I think what Dame is saying, like, I don't want to hear that crap anymore. You've been telling me that for 8 freaking years. Get me some freaking talent on this team. So, like, I think that's where it's different. It's not, I don't think he's going to ask out if they don't make a big trade or whatever. I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's telling this organization that either you're committed to him and you make it happen, or you guys just quit freaking tell me that you're going to do it eventually, because you're not, obviously.
Here's the thing, though, is he actually plays a little bit of a part in that. Because who are the top 2 guys that he would want to play with this offseason that maybe there's a non-zero chance they become available? Like, it's extremely, extremely unlikely, but it's like, okay, well, you want to make a splash? We have the assets to make a trade if Joel Embiid wants out. Okay, now, Dame, you're cool with Joel Embiid. You're cool with Giannis Antetokounmpo. We can't make that trade if they don't want out. So, if you can get them to... If you can recruit them effectively, we'll make the move. You know what I mean?
Obviously a star is different, but like the Mikhail OG type level players, I think those kind of players, despite the high asking prices, you can overpay to get them if you want to.
That might be a situation where it's like, okay, well, do you want us to overpay for OG now?
Yeah.
Because he said no last summer, so...
Yeah.
If they have the line of communication they should have, okay, do you want us to overpay for OG now?
Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if he says yes and they still can't get it done, then maybe he's getting mad,
Oh, well, yeah, that's why, but basically, like, this whole conversation is, like, it's context dependent. I don't think it's a situation where it's like, if they don't make a huge splash, he's automatically going to be, like, pissed off and potentially want out. I think there's a lot of context that goes into that. What I'm saying. Once
again, there's a difference between him just immediately wanting out if they don't make a splash, and him being frustrated with the fact that they keep telling him next time and it keeps not happening. And I think he would kind of question the front office's dedication to him, despite what they've said, if that's the case this summer. And I'm not saying that means he's going to for sure ask out. I'm just saying I think that will infuriate him a little bit, and I would be like, if he isn't infuriated by that, I would be questioning him maybe a little bit on whether he cares enough. But like, I know that's not the case, so I know he's going to be a little upset, and it's kind of been boiling over the last 2 summers, dating back to when he was kind of putting pressure on Olshey around the Olympics time to make the roster better. And they just haven't been able to get it done. And at some point, I just think he's going to be mad at the, just wait till next time approach. And I think he's already said as much in interviews.
Yep. I don't think that's necessarily unreasonable or anything. And then a lot of context that goes into it, that whenever this conversation pops up, there's it's either... A lot of people view it as, like, doomsday, in a doomsday way. Where it's like, they better get Dame this guy, or he's going to want out, or, they better do this. Like, and it's just very surface level where, I don't know.
Well, there's a few donations to some
I'm not worried. Yep, shout out Kyler H 2024 with a $2 dono. Says, who do you think has more trade value, Simons or Shea? Good question, Eric. Who do you think has more trade value?
Just like pure, like upside talent value, I'd probably lean towards Shaedon Sharpe. However, when you only have like a $6 to $8 million contract, it makes it a lot harder to trade you for the correct value. So unless you're going for more picks or whatever, which the Blazers obviously wouldn't trade Sharpe for a bunch of picks. So I think the answer is a little more complicated. Shea has more value probably, but Simons is ultimately the easier player to trade, and his value isn't negative either. So him having the $20+ million contract makes it easier to get a better player with that contract.
Yep, well said. I agree. For the guy that keeps spamming chat about RJ Barrett, no thank you. He is not better than De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is leading a team to its first playoff series since like 2006. He's a star. RJ Barrett is a role player, a glorified role player on the Knicks right now.
And how are we matching is he making like 30 million?
He's making like 25 million.
Yeah.
He doesn't solve anything defensively whatsoever for this team. He's not the right type of player for this team to go after. Not a good defender. Not completely ball dominant, but maybe a little too ball dominant for my liking. 3-point shot is a little questionable. Not a fan of RJ Barrett. Shout Kyle Wilson, $5 dono says, if Dame asks out, you can kiss our attendance goodbye. Why would any player want to come here if we drove that guy out of town? Would be DEFCON 1 for us. Absolutely, Kyle. Thank you for the $5 dono. Yeah, I mean, we're basically hoping that we can resign any great players we draft, and that's the only way we can get out of that predicament. But you don't want to like purposely drive them out of town, because then it's like any guys you're trying to keep that you draft, or even Anthony Simons in the future, he's going to look at that and be like, okay, so that's going to happen to me, huh? You're not going to give me enough help, and then you're just going to trade me? That makes it tough.
Tori, you know how everyone thinks we're negative?
Yeah.
You haven't seen anything yet if we frickin' push Damian Lillard out of town. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be unbearably negative, so I'm sorry, but that's just how I'll be. And yeah, that you'll see true negativity if that happens.
Oh, you'll see us become completely unhinged.
I hope you guys would agree with us, or at least the sane part of this.
People would riot. It'd be the worst case scenario for this franchise, this channel, this everything. It's funny because I saw a comment earlier. I forget, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, God, I want to find it. Oh, I found it. There's a comment that said, this Tory guy is making me see the positive side of things. That's nice.
What? Since when?
Apparently I'm the positive guy again, just like I was earlier this year. You know, we're past the phase where everybody was like, you're too negative, you're so negative. I just call it like it is, positive or negative. Like, that's what I try and do. I don't care about being specifically optimistic or specifically pessimistic. I just try and use logic, which is what I'm trying to do in this situation. But yes, I will be the positive guy now again. So I'm glad to have gotten that title back. Shout out Pat Mac with the $10 dono. Says, thoughts on the Jaylen Brown situation? Doesn't seem happy in Boston. Do you guys think he'd fit next to Dame? Thanks for all the streams lately. You guys are killing it. Thank you, Pat Mac, for the $10 dono. I mean, Jaylen Brown, it's like with the fans. He's like frustrated with the fans or something. I don't know. The Jaylen Brown situation is confusing to me, and with how good they are, I would say that he probably isn't gettable because they don't have to trade him. I don't really know how to read into that situation. Would he fit next to Dame? He'd be... Yeah, he could play the 2 or the 3. You'd trade Ant for him if you wanted out, and you'd start Sharp and Jaylen Brown and hope that's good enough defensively.
I think they'd ask for a lot more than Ant.
Oh, yeah, a lot more. I'm not saying straight up. I'm just saying, like, that would be the matching piece.
Yeah, so, like, on the court, I think Jaylen Brown would be fine. He's fixed a little bit of his defensive issues. He was not a good defender last year. Has been better in that regard this year. But so he is an unrestricted free agent, so he'll have 1 year left on his contract. I don't trust that guy mentally. Quite frankly, I find him exhausting in interviews and stuff like that. There was the whole like he was defending the whole Kyrie Kanye type people and was asked to clarify, and he had some BS comments about that, but wouldn't actually, denounce anti-Semitism and all that kind of stuff. And then he was asked simply, did it feel good to get a rousing ovation from the crowd as you left the court yesterday? And he's all like, I don't care. Like, basically, like, yeah. I'm just out there playing basketball. Like the guy just seems like a drama queen, and I can't with those kind of players, man. It's such a turn off for me for players that are just like that off the court, especially after watching Dame for, since 2012, just conduct himself the way he has. And just, I I'm just out on any kind of those guys that are just like complete head cases. And yeah, so I mean, he'd be a good fit basketball wise. Sure, we'd be better if we had Jaylen Brown. I just don't like those kind of players, and I wouldn't give up much for them. I'd rather give up more for Mikal Bridges or someone like that who still has several years on his contract. Is just as good of a player and is a complete non head case off the court.
Yep. Anyway, anything else for this stream?
Robot. No.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching. It's been a fun stream, I guess. But we didn't think we'd have anything to talk about. But we will be back after the game tonight. So hope to see you all back there.
Yep. On the main channel, Blazers Uprise. Without the live, that's where our post-game shows are for the rest of the season. Then we'll be doing daily uploads after the regular season concludes. The Blazers have a chance to tie Orlando for 5th best odds in the draft lottery if they lose tonight. So rooting for another L. Anyway, this has been Blazers Uprise Live presented by BetOnline. Use that promo code BELIEVE for a 50% reward bonus. And we'll see you tonight. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.